Hello folks, welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. Today, I've got something a little bit different on the segments. I'm going to have an interview with one of my good friends that I've known for several years, and the very first guest, but I've got some more coming in the future, so I'll let you know when we get done here what all we're going to do. My guest today is Mr. Adam Gibson. Adam and I have been friends for a couple of years. I can remember him coming to the Archery Club, just a kid, and he's getting a little older now, but he's a fantastic guy. Adam, welcome to the show, partner.
Appreciate it, Bud. Thank you.
Tell everybody about some of your escapades in archery. He's a touring target archer, competition shooter, and he knows what he's talking about.
Well, let's start back, I guess, from the beginning. I kind of got into archery at the age of 8. Nobody did it in my family. Mm-hmm. I think I found a longbow at one of my uncle's places, and strung it up and shot the first arrow. And I remember to this day, I used a shoestring, a bootlace. I stole off a pair of boots and strung it up. And I think the longbow was actually backwards. You know, people get that mixed up a little bit.
Well, it's easier to string that way.
Yeah, exactly. And made first couple arrows. Found some reeds that were just along an old swampy part of the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. My grandmother lived in Oakford, and so there's some wolves. Insulation had a little spot back there, and nobody minded back then. Kids were allowed to roam around and kind of do their own thing, and so shot my first arrow, and it was taken up from there. And then it just moved on to me shooting competition later on in life, and going from there. So fortunate enough to win a few things. I'd won the national title, world title, and the state title. State title a couple times, national title a couple times, and the world title a couple times. So, and I've been fortunate. It's taken me a lot of neat places, met a lot of neat people. But yeah, I've been indulged with it since the age of 8. So. Well,
that's the thing about it. A lot of people get the misconception when you're talking about archery. They envision the little kid's a little wooden bow with the arrows with the suction cups on it. And man, archery has progressed through the years. Centuries ago, before the advent of gunpowder and bullets and bombs and all that stuff, archery equipment was used for warfare. I mean, that's all they had basically back there between that and throwing rocks and spears. But archery today has progressed, and I got involved in archery in 1964, and it's just, if they would have told me then I would be using the equipment that's available now, I'd say they were crazy. But archery has really progressed, and it's not just a man's sport. And there's a lot of number of archery clubs around the area that's wanting members, and that you can get instructions and everything. And who knows, I mean, you could progress and go into it like Adam has. And now, are you the only one in your family now that competes? I think your wife does.
No, my wife does. She's won a couple state titles, held a couple state records herself. Mm-hmm. All of them. All my kids do.
Oh, great.
We have 5. The youngest one, even the little 3-year-old, she'll shoot. She's not in competition yet, but it's backyard. She's the world champion of the backyard, you know, as we call it. But our 3-year-old, our 5-year-old boy, and then on up to our 13 or 15-year-old, and now our 17-year-old. So everybody does it. It's something that it's anybody can get into, and that's what I've encouraged, like through NASP, National Archery in the Schools program. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be, a 6-foot tall athlete. You don't have to be, a 160-pound track athlete or so on and so forth. It could do anybody. It could anybody in a wheelchair, or you've lost a limb, or there's guys that shoot with their feet, guys that shot with their teeth. Mm-hmm. It's something anybody can get into.
Right.
So, but I encourage everybody to at least try it once.
Right.
Join that local club, Galveston, which is right here. You're a member. You're a lifetime member. You're one of the few left, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm the only. It must be a high job there. I mean, it's a high risk job. I'm the only one that's still alive. Yeah. And if I buy that new bass boat, that might not be very long.
Yeah, that club is actually the oldest operating club in the state.
That's correct.
1964, so that's when it was established. So
I know very well when that was. I was there.
Yeah, and it's in the same building, if I'm correct.
Yes. It's in the old Shaner building in Galveston. It's just, let's say, be 2 blocks east of the intersection of State Road 18 and State Road 35 in Galveston. It's an upstairs portion, and we're going to be doing a on-site program segment before too long. As soon as I can get together with one of the representatives of the club, we're going to go over there and take some video and show everybody what the facility is. It's a well-lighted club, warm. You can shoot all year round, and I think it's even air conditioning now.
Yeah, there's air conditioning. They host events all through the summer, all through the fall and the winter. That's when things really start to turn on up there. But we invite all the kids, and no matter youth or all the way up to the senior. If you've never done it, we've got bows up there for anybody to do it. So, and then there's guys, club members. They welcome everybody.
Right.
I know we do. When somebody new comes in, we stop, say hello, and ask if anybody needs any help, so on and so forth. But,
yeah, I was over at the club there just here recently. I'm not as active indoor shooting or that since I've had some injuries and some surgeries. It's just put some limitations on me. But I've spent so many work details over there on the weekends and through the years doing things, and it's a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people over there, and they've got good programs for you, and like Adam was telling you, if you walk in over there, you're not going to be a stranger. I mean, you're going to make a lot of friends, and if you do need help and you're wanting to get some instruction, they do have certified instructors, and it's a lot of fun. I'm pretty fortunate here. I don't have any houses or anything behind me. I've got an open agriculture field back there, and I've often said after I die, whoever buys this property, and if they ever go out there in the field, they're going to probably find a bunch of arrowheads thinking there was an Indian uprising, But archery is a lot of fun. Now, it can be work, and it can be a lot of fun, and it can be exasperating, but I was never steady enough to shoot some of them perfect scores, and you were saying your youngest kid, I might be able to outscore that individual if you tie one hand behind their back.
It's fun. It's like anything else. So you get out what you put into it.
Right.
That's with anything. But as far as getting involved, if some kids are not teammate type kids. I was a big baseball player, and eventually I got tired of running because other guys were screwing up on the baseball team.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why am I running? Yeah. So I'm like, why am I doing this? Because they screwed up. And so I was able to shoot. If I was having a bad day and I wasn't shooting correctly, I could walk in and not have to run laps, and then pick it up a couple hours later when I was feeling better, and hey, things were clicking then. So. But it's an amazing sport. It's taken me a lot of neat places, all around the country. It's a lifelong sport as well.
I know one time I was visiting the county fair, and my wife and I was walking through the areas there, and the Galveston Archery Club had a booth set up. And it was quite funny. Here I was, one of the founding members and a club officer for seemed like 85 years. And I walked by the booth, and when I seen that, I thought, well, I'm going to stop by and say hello. Of course, I didn't recognize anybody there. And they come up and they said, "Are you interested in archery?" I said, "Well, yeah, I think I am." And we started carrying on this conversation. And there was some old photo albums that we used to have up there. And one, it was quite funny because we had a playmate, the playmate of the month in the Galveston Archery Club. And people wanted to know, well, who is it? Well, my wife and I had rented a cottage on Bruce Lake, and we were up there, and my buddy and I were fishing. My wife kept telling me, she said, why don't let's go down to the beach with the kids. And I said, well, okay. She said, well, I'll leave your swimsuit in there on the bed. We come in, and I told my buddy, he said, he asked me, so are we going to go down to the beach? And I said, yeah, we might go down for 15 or 20 minutes, but we were catching fish. I mean, that's what we were wanting to do. So I walked into that bedroom, and I asked my friend, I said, Jack, I said, where did my wife say my swimsuit was? He said, it was laying on the bed. The only suit laying on that bed was a woman's swimsuit, a one-piece woman's swimsuit. So I put it on. And there was a styrofoam like life ring in there. So I put that around my head, and I put my camouflage hat on. And I walked in, and I said, you ready to go? And I looked like Corporal Klinger on MASH. And he got to laughing. He said, I got to take a picture of this. So that picture, even still, is up there at the Archery Club.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I haven't looked hard enough. And I probably won't look hard enough either.
I guarantee you will never forget it if you see it. Yeah. No matter how hard or what you drink, you'll never forget it. But archery, folks, I mean, it's really something. It's amazing what can be done. Like he was saying, he was seeing some handicapped people. I have shot next to people in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And I've shot next to people that maybe they would use this device and hook it to the string and pull it, and they would open their mouth and let that bow shoot. And one time here I was standing there with a high dollar compound bow, a PSE, and I'm sure you remember those. Mm-hmm. Probably $500 in the bow with $300 in my sight and everything. And I had a guy standing next to me, redneck. He had his hair in a a flat top on the top, combed back on the sides, but he had looked like a raccoon tail, like a Daniel Boone hat. Yep. And he had an old beat-up recurve bare bow. His arrows had half the fletching missing. He stood there, and 300 was a perfect score. And I'm thinking, I'm going to smoke this guy. That guy shot a 299 out of 300. Yep. I was ready to get my hair styled differently. I was going to get me an old beat-up bow, but that guy stood there and he smoked me.
And he probably shot that bow every day, and he probably lived on that bow. You know what he shot with.
And I was always one of those guys. If I had part of a feather missing, that feather was gone. I'd take it off and I'd refletch it. Yep. And his bowstring was so fuzzy, like I'd never seen any bowstring wax. But that guy had skill, and I've been beat by women. You know, they said, does women shoot? Sure, I've shot with a lot of women. My wife, she shot instinctive. And of course, I shot freestyle. Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted us to shoot the husband and wife event, the team event. Well, you couldn't do that unless you were both either shooting with a sight or without a sight. So I hadn't shot without a bow sight in years. But in order for us to compete as a husband and wife team, I had to take my sight off. And I'm glad she had a good day, because she carried me. Matter of fact, she outscored me. But we did win the husband and wife instinctive state championship that year.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, it's amazing. I've shooting in the professional division. I've shot next to some people from all over and all over the world. Mm-hmm. You know, from India to Australia to wherever. But I think that in saying that without no handicap. I mean, you could have any handicap in the world. This man shoots like he has no handicap. It's Matt Stutzman. He was born with no arms. And he literally shot, he taught himself, he needed to feed his family. He lived in Iowa, and he taught himself to literally load that arrow up and hold that bow and shoot with his feet. He shot with a shoulder strap that was attached to that shoulder there, and he fired it with his cheek. And now he shoots in the professional division. He's been shooting in professional division and has done very well for himself.
And that's a good point towards being, if you've got the desire to do it. I mean, there's been times I was shooting, maybe I'd pull a back muscle, and I thought, oh man, this really hurts. And you look over and you see somebody like that, and you think, suck it up, buttercup, and just keep it going. But I would really encourage a lot of people to consider it, because you can enjoy it as a family event. I used to travel all over Indiana shooting. I never got very far out of Indiana to shoot, but I was shooting like 3 or 4 times a week, and it was so much fun. But it got to be where you would have people come into, like our archery club from Lafayette, from Indianapolis, from Muncie. Yeah. We've had them come in from the northern parts of Kentucky, and we've had some come down from Michigan over the years. And you just get like you're a close-knit group, and you share. And you see equipment, and it's unbelievable that you can stand at most of the time on your indoor tournaments, you're shooting 20 yards, 60 feet, and the bullseye about 3 inches.
Yeah.
And then inside of that 3-inch bullseye, there's like about a 1-inch ring. And I've seen guys shoot 299s out of 300 and never even place in the standings, because it's gotten so everybody's so dedicated. The equipment is so far advanced anymore that it's hard to say that that you cannot shoot a perfect score and win money.
Yeah, now in the professional division, you have to shoot a perfect score.
Yeah.
And on the second day of the final tournament, there will be 20 to 25 guys at the perfect score, clean. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do, I don't know, probably an hour and a half worth of shoot-offs just to figure out who ends up winning. So it's But with the advent of equipment, that's helped.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and you've seen archery go from in the last 10 years from where it was 20. And I've got equipment, and I'd like to collect that equipment. My wife don't like me collecting that equipment at home, but I collect that equipment at home.
It gets worse.
Yes. And I collect it at home, and it's amazing to see from where we started at to where we are now. It's an eye opener.
And what's it going to be in 10 more years?
Yeah, it's scary. And it's not really scary. It's just like when you stop and look at something, like if you look at the cars today that we have on the road, you look at it and go, how can we make this better? And is it going to get any better? And then all of a sudden, something else comes out like, well, they did make it better.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm not an engineer part of archery. So, but,
okay. Well, I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but I wanted to bring you in and introduce you to the people, and we talk over some good things. And this man helped me out here recently. I'm one of the, as a matter of fact, I believe he is too, one of the certified hunter safety education instructors. And this is my 50th year, and I've been doing 3 classes now, and I got a couple more coming up. But I was running short because a lot of the items that I had for this had fallen apart. Well, he helped supply me so I could go to these classes. But Adam, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and it's been a deed of pleasure. And you might start practicing up on your Academy Award speech, because my buddy Pat Muncie sitting over there, he's got it in for us. He's going to put in a good word.
Is that what it is, huh?
Okay, hey, thanks a lot, folks.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Just to give you an idea, I said I was talking to some speakers. I've contacted a couple different conservation officers. I've got a representative from the Kokomo bass anglers that's wanting to come on the show. We're going to talk to the club president from Galveston Archery Club. Matter of fact, we're going to shoot upstairs there in that building. The Guardians of the Wildcat, they do a lot of cleanup efforts on the creeks and everything around Kokomo. I'm going to have one of my grandsons bring his boat over, and we're going to talk about preparing your boat for the fishing season. And I got a grandson, he's a kayak fisherman, and he's going to bring his kayak over, and we're going to talk about that. That's becoming a very popular event. And we're also going to be talking to Bob and Dwayne Off about the Winding Creek Bluegrass Festival that will be coming up. We're going to go out there and shoot and interview them and tell you some of the entertainment they're going to come up. But I'm also talking with a guy about rod and reel repair. So I hope everybody enjoys it. It's something new having a guest on the show. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and I want to thank the Kokomo Lantern and Kokomo for giving me this opportunity to share some good times and some tall stories with you. So thanks a lot. God bless you.